The college football experience, week 7 DFS preview and picks episode and Underdog Fantasy Plays is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog is hooking new customers up. Play just $5 and get $100 in bonus funds when you sign up with our promo code. That is TCE SGPN. And remember, as always, folks, too, let it ride.
Hey everybody, Joe Theismann here. You're listening to SGPN. So do this, let it ride.
Yes, yes, yes. Woo! Welcome to the college football experience, week 7. DFS preview picks and Underdog Fantasy Plays episode 4. I mean, we're going to cover everything. We're going to give you, since it's early Thursday day and our Thursday slate is just so damn beautiful, we're going to give you Thursday, Friday, Saturday day, and Saturday night. I mean, what are we doing over here? We're just giving. It's a free show too. Even just, I don't know, man. I hit for cash last week, so let's go. Now it wasn't $1 million, but yeah, they're coming. They're coming. If you're wondering who the hell you're listening to, that's fair. My name is Colby Swigga Database Dan, aka Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
I'm probably drinking too much and celebrating too much and not sleeping. I would have killed a normal man, but no, that's gone. The medical advice I got from that was like being hit by lightning. Pretend it never happened and get on with your life.
I will change out of this green before the Tulane game plays. I'm just going to let you know, folks. I will. I promise you. Tulane ECU tonight. Very excited. AAC, huge week in the AAC. Navy getting a test at Temple, North Texas, South Florida, ECU going down to New Orleans to take on the Green Wave. Big weekend. I am joined by my co-host, who is also, he's a man that's been on fire lately. He was talking pre-episode that he's thinking about buying a pontoon boat. You've heard him on VSiN. You've heard him on Sports Grid. And you should check out his Best Bet show on YouTube. Give it up for the great Rob Donaldson. How are you, brother? And look, I know you're in Iowa there. Where do you... does Waterloo actually have water, and where are you taking this pontoon boat?
Waterloo basically just has gang violence, and that's kind of our stain. So, yeah, that's kind of what Waterloo has turned into. And other than that, it's just beer and Iowa football for me. And yeah, man, it's been good on the betting front. I'm headed down to College Station actually tonight, so I'm going to be catching that game live against Florida. And yeah, man, I'm excited. Good times ahead.
Hell yeah, that's awesome. I forgot that you told me that last week. That is fantastic. But I'm also impressed that, you know, there's somewhere in Iowa, or, you know, someone's being told, if I ever see you in Waterloo, I'll fucking kill you. And that makes me feel good about the planet. Yeah, College Station. Have you ever been, buddy?
I've not.
That look, we were lucky enough to be a guest of the University of Texas A&M a few years back. Shout out to Cameron Kerr. That stadium's awesome, and the tailgating's fun. And even though we make fun of their fake soldiers and guys in overalls, they were very, very kind to us. So that stadium is fantastic too. What's that?
I will say this, Colby. You might get a kick out of this. I think this is pretty ridiculous, but my buddy insists we're going to do this midnight yell thing.
Oh, yes.
Oh, man.
Please send me video. I don't know. Unless you're passionately involved in this, which they might ask you to lead the cheer or something. I don't know. But if you can get video, and I don't, you know, I've never been. I don't know if you're not allowed. I don't know if you're allowed to bring in cell phone. They might make you check that at the door, but that's content, buddy. You gotta you gotta send me that.
100%.
I know it's notorious for like their App State, where like it went viral, where when App State played at A&M the night before at the midnight Rebel Yell or whatever the fuck that's called. They basically were like, Appalachia, we don't even know where that is. They don't even know where that is. And it kind of went viral because they got their ass whooped the next day. But that was the Jimbo Fisher era. That should be a fun experience, though, man. Like, I mean, just going down there. One of the coolest things about college to me that attracts me more than pro is the differences. I like the fact everyone doesn't think alike. You know what I mean? I like the fact you have religious institutions or stuff that, you know, you might be like, whoa, you know, but what's cool is if you're just a fan of the sport, you can go and you know, experience these things in some, I don't want to say like exactly like they experience it, but you can see a little bit of the world that they see. And I think that's healthy. And I think that's good to go out and see different perspectives and stuff like that. And, you know, whether you're going to a BYU game where their fans say, because you can say what you want about, oh, well, they won't let the guy have sex, but okay. That's their beliefs. It's the same way Chick-fil-A isn't open on Sundays, right? Like, you know, like, but they're good fans. You can't say that. And that's why it would be worth going on a trip there just to see. Now, of course, would I be huffing paint in the parking lot and doing Jaeger bombs and just trying to burn plastic under the bleachers? You know what I mean? Like just trying to just fuck up my body at some point. Sure. But yeah, dude, it's going to be a cool experience for you. And I highly recommend if anyone's never been to College Station, it is a good experience. For the most part, unless you end up in a barroom brawl or something, which could be a good experience deciding, depending on what side you're on.
I'm always on the winning side.
There you go. Can't say the same for me. I like to think I've been on the winning side before, but I've also been on the losing side as well. I'll never forget in LA one time. I randomly meet up with this girl from high school. Like she's like, hey, I'm in LA. And she's like, come meet up. I go meet up. And it's not that someone was trying to fight me. It's just that they punched me right in the face because they missed the person they wanted to fight. So I'm just like, I've been there like 5 minutes. And I get punched right in the fucking face, like from the side. I'm just like, and then I was like, who punched me? I wasn't even like preparing for fight. And I was like, I took a really good shot to the face. And then I was, Rob, this is how you know I'm a good one. The police came and they wanted me to press charges against the guy that punched me in the face. Right. And after I was, I said, no. Well, I will say in the meantime, before the police got there, his friend said, dude, he was aiming for another guy. But God damn, I was bleeding from my fucking face. Right. Like trying to meet up with a gal. Like I'm just like, oh, fuck me. Right. But I did not press charges. All right. And that's why you subscribe to the College Football Experience. There we go. But tonight's slate is fantastic. That's my transition from being punched in the face randomly. I've been punched in the face on purpose before too. But shout out to Joey Lobster. Woke up at his ex's again. There we go.
That's Hey, more power to you.
No CTE there. All right.
Yep.
Joey Lobster's the fucking man. I mean, can we talk about this guy? This guy's, in my opinion, he's one of my favorite listeners, because the guy's out there on he's working out of he's on the Atlantic Ocean front all the time. And I feel like he's up in Newfoundland, Canada and shit. I know he's coming in the States, but who knows where those boats go to get those lobsters. I watched that. Dude, yeah, well, they definitely go to the ex's house. But I watched, I don't even know that the show still goes on, that Alaskan shit though, when they're up in Alaska on those boats. Deadliest Catch.
Yeah.
Dude, tell me that's not the manliest fucking job on planet Earth. Like I couldn't imagine. Right. I could not imagine
Well, there's that Bill Burr bit, right? Of like, hey, motherhood is apparently the most dangerous job or the most important job on the planet, other than the ice road truckers and the people who are giving their life to get crab for us.
Yeah. And Joey Lobson said he's up there in Cape Cod Bay and Stellwagen. That's right. Speaking of getting punched in the face, let me tell you, you go out to Cape Cod Bay, Joey Lobster might give you a fucking beatdown. I've always feel like such a bitch when I talk to people. Like, I had Colorado's play-by-play announcer on, and he was late because he was herding 150 cattle, right? And he was like, "I'm sorry, dude. I was an hour and a half late. I had to take these cattle about 10 miles, herding them in." And I'm like, "What?" I feel like such a bitch just talking to you. You know what I mean? What do you do, Dundee? You just talking to a microphone, right? It's like, this dude actually, like, that's real shit. Like, and I just feel like, I type into a computer sometimes. That's my life.
Throw money at players who I can't control.
Yeah. Then I talk shit about them. Right?
Yeah, live vicariously.
Buddy, there's 4 games tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's really 5, but believe it or not, DraftKings did not put the Harding game on here. I'm still a little bitter about that. The Harding, Southeast Oklahoma. Hey, DraftKings, dial 1-800-PICK-DUNDEE, and we can arrange something. So we got Louisiana Tech, Kennesaw State, which I think is a sneaky underrated game because I think Kennesaw is ahead of schedule. La Tech, we know, contenders in the CUSA. We got East Carolina at Tulane. We got the horrible game of Jacksonville State. Wait, did you say you're going to Houston tonight?
I'm going actually flying straight to College Station and landing at like 5 a.m.
He wins 10 grand or something, and he's flying to, what the hell airport is that? You like?
It's the smallest. We're going. It's a Fort Worth, and then I go to College Station from there.
Dude, we were guests of the university. We had to go into Houston and drive that hour and a half or whatever it is. This guy's coming in hot. Who you hanging out with? You got some rich boosters you're friends with there? What airport is that? Somebody let me know about that airport.
All I know is that the abbreviations are CLL. So if you guys need to look that up, I don't even know where I'm going.
You're gonna land on like a small runway on Jimbo Fisher's farm. Right?
Yeah,
doesn't he have a gigantic fucking farm with that $90 million buyout he got? What I was going to say was that Jacksonville State at Sam Houston is being played in Houston, Texas, not Huntsville at the Bear Claw, because they're renovating. So you could have done a 2-for-1 if you came in. You could have went there and watched a beautiful Sam Houston State team that is sitting there at 0-5. That game's pretty terrible. But then Southern Miss, Georgia Southern, gigantic game for my futures and win totals. It's a pretty good slate.
It is.
So we're gonna give a bonus Thursday edition to our hardcore fans out there, the ones out there catching goddamn lobsters, the ones out, and shout out to the Wednesday moneyline parlay. Braden Goddard hit. We gave away. Oh wow! I'm learning about he threw in the Phillies and the Blue Jays. So what he was referring to was Liberty and Missouri State moneyline parlay that we gave out. But man, he really cashed in with the Phillies and the Blue Jays mixed into that. There you go, brother. All right, so let's. Those are the 4 games for Thursday. But the Harding game, everyone should watch. And that's free on YouTube. But just type in Harding football. You might get some Tanya Harding videos. Those are entertaining too. All right. Remember when figure skating peaked? Right. That's when
Antoine Ono.
What was it? Michelle Kwan, right?
Yeah, Michelle Kwan. Yep.
Okay, so the first thing, I'm curious if you did 2 quarterbacks.
I did. And notably just because I feel like in a board like this, you kind of just got to go for the dudes who you think are going to produce the most points. Like I sometimes there's more strategy involved where you got to do a little bit of bargain bin shopping to get those top end guys, but on a short end slate, I want the top performers. And I went ahead and get Braylon Braxton from Southern Miss. Love his game. Just athletic dude, throws on the run, kind of that gunslinger approach. I think that's going to be a high scoring game against Georgia Southern. And the other quarterback I went with was Jake Retzlaff against ECU. I think Tulane's gonna do a number on them tonight.
Wow,
personally.
Wow. He just comes on these airwaves recklessly. All right. What airport are you landing at again? I'll make sure something happens there. Right.
ELL.
Well, I mean, I do like the fact that Georgia Southern's defense is 135th. Hey, folks, there's 136 teams in the FBS. Georgia Southern right now giving up 481 yards a game. So maybe that play was one that I maybe should have looked at because I'm on the Retzlaff one. It's interesting because holy shit, I do have $1,100 left over. But Retzlaff is one that we'll get to an Underdog Fantasy because I still think there's an angle. But no. I took the right side on tonight's Thursday night game down in New Orleans with Caden Hauser. Bubby, I'm your white knight at 8,100. I know he throws some dumbass interceptions sometimes, but Hauser has thrown for above 285 4 straight games. And some of those games were against Power 5 competition. So, go down to New Orleans. So at 8,100, I think he's the play. Now, I'm curious now. Okay, so I wouldn't have enough. I could go with JC French, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stay. This is one where an hour before kickoff, you should check. You should check what's going on because, one of the things I hate now about them having to report the injuries, they list everyone as questionable.
Yeah.
So Kennesaw State starting quarterback over the past few weeks from Inglewood, California, has been Amari Odom. Now they started the season with Dexter Williams, who is Georgia Southern's backup quarterback a season ago. Both the quarterbacks are questionable, but Odom has been playing better than Williams. But is there a world where I guess Odom is out and Williams starts? Sure. That's the confusing part here, but he's only 6K. And when you consider he's gotten better, he's only a sophomore. So he came in, he didn't play the first game. He came in against Indiana and was 10 of 16, 176 yards, 11 yards of completion against Indiana. Then I think his biggest game was 2 weeks ago against Arkansas State, where they beat him. He threw for 308 yards, 9 yards of completion and a touchdown. But even against Middle Tennessee last week, he didn't light it up throwing the ball, but he had some efficiency rushing the ball as well. He just threw for 162 last week. But still 11 of 17. So it's like 2 touchdowns. It's not like he's playing bad. No. So at 6K, I'm bargain shopping with my quarterback. The only way you really get burned here is with all these damn players questionable, but you gotta think Odom's going to play. Like I didn't even know he was questionable as of a couple of days ago. I saw Williams was questionable, which is understood, understanding considering, but I don't know. So pay attention to that. But if he's starting, or I'm sorry, if he's playing, I expect him to start. So at 6K, I went with him. But you make a good case on what is the price of Braxton? He's 87, right?
8,700. And I think it's appropriately priced because that game is going to be like 0 defense, first to 40 wins. And I do like Amari Odom. I don't know if you've watched him play, but he gives some really like strong Byram Brown vibes where he kind of has that elongated throwing motion. It's efficient, but he's going to kill you with his like physical kind of quick running ability. And yeah, the Kansas State offense just kind of caters to him as well. So I really do like him as a player.
Yeah, tonight's a great showing for the Southern California quarterbacks. And Jacob, we play the. I do single entry for like 15 bucks. Rob was throwing $100. How'd you do in the $100 entry last week?
Yeah, it made me like I think it was $20 at the end of it. It was
Hey,
I can't remember which player it was, but I had somebody get hurt in the first quarter, and that kind of debilitated me.
That's the dangerous game with that, like it's just. But man, that's a lot of fun there. Shout out to Braden Goddard, who's got Harding making the second TV tonight. We need the flex bone in the SEC. Yeah. Arkansas, you know what to do. Amen. I mean. How many years does he have to dominate D2 football before at least Arkansas State? Like, you have Butch Jones, who's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you not, if you just see them just dominating right up the road?
Well, we see it in college basketball all the time, where the barrier of entry to that, Division I hoops is a lot lower because there's so many more teams. And then you have a guy like a Ben McCollum step up immediately, and all of a sudden, 2 years in Division I level, he's at Iowa. And you have Josh Schertz, who 2 years he's at St. Louis, and there's a number of guys like that.
How about Lance Leipold? Lance Leipold came up from Wisconsin Whitewater and took Buffalo to like the MAC championship, multiple years, and then took over a shitty Kansas team that had been relevant in 15, 20 years, and boom, gets them bowling in 2 years. Yeah, Kalen DeBoer, Sioux Falls. Yeah, I mean, it's such a smarter route than just going for in my opinion, than going for the coordinator on like an awesome team. Like, and when I say awesome team, I mean like Alabama or Ohio State, because those schools have been so good so long, they get the best players, right? Yeah. So it's like, how good are you without the best players? We don't know. Or if you go for a similar vein with an NFL coach, it's like, well, you've been coaching the best players. It's completely different sport to a certain extent in college. So it just makes a lot of sense. But the point I was making, so check out the Harding game. They're fucking beautiful to watch. I've been watching them for years. But the California quarterbacks tonight. Retzlaff is from Corona, California. He's had an interesting career because he was at Golden West College in Huntington Beach. Mm-hmm. I've done stand up there before. And then he went to Riverside College, which I have not done stand up at, but I've never been to Riverside College. I didn't even know they had a football team. And then BYU, and then Tulane. So you have that, but then you have Caden Hauser, who's from Anaheim, ECU starting quarterback. So a battle of Southern Cali quarterbacks going on in the ECU Tulane game. But Amari Odom from Inglewood, California. I mean, what the hell? I'm who am I missing here? I almost want to load up Jacksonville State's. Where's Wimsatt from? Is he from? No, he's from Kentucky. Yeah. All right, but
I can tell you, Hunter Watson's probably not from California. That's just a Texas.
Well, watching him throw the ball, there's no way. There's no way, right?
Definitely not private school.
But I'll take you to that game because I think if you are playing this slate, you're going to want. I believe this guy was a 4-star, maybe even a 5-star recruit. Cam Cook, the running back for Jacksonville State. Now, if memory serves me correct, I believe he went to Alabama first, right? After Alabama, he didn't get on the field, and I believe he transferred to, after like 1 year at Alabama, I think he transferred to TCU. And so he was like a Saban guy, if memory serves me correct. I didn't do due diligence on researching this, but I believe he was at Alabama, redshirted, then went to TCU for 2 years. This dude's a stud, and he has already rushed for 614 yards in just 5 games, 5 touchdowns, averaging 5.5 yards a carry. When I saw Charles Kelly land him at Jacksonville State, I knew that this would be a good fantasy draft pick because I just thought, man, okay, this dude, he's definitely pretty fucking good, and he's only had one game where since September that he has not cracked 100. That was the last game against Southern Miss where he had 77 yards and a touchdown. But get this, he had 77 yards receiving as well. The guy is a fucking beast. So I paid up for him at $8K. Cam Cook out of Round Rock, Texas. Did you roster the great Cam Cook?
I did not. You make a strong case, though. I actually went with Arnold from Georgia Southern as kind of my highest price back. Kind of in lockstep with what we're talking about earlier with that game being a high scoring game. I also think it's going to be a competitive game where they are still going to have the ground game involved. He's also a good catcher out of the backfield as well. He's a guy who also gets the goal line touches, and he commands a $7,000 price. I think it's worth it, especially on this type of slate where you do want to have that multi-touchdown game in your back pocket, hopefully. And then my second running back spot, I stayed in the same game. I went with Pittman on the other side for Southern Miss. Just another guy who's getting a lot of volume.
I got him too. Cause I mean, that one, Charles Kelly's a former running backs coach for Nick Saban in Alabama. Shit, he probably knows Cam Cook. He probably recruited Cam Cook. But Pittman, and when he was at Marshall, Charles Huff. Too many Charles going on here. Charles Huff.
Yep, Marshall.
Charles Huff is who I'm talking about. Well, I guess Charles Kelly was on Saban's staff too. What the fuck? I'm all confused over here. This is me talking about these coaches.
Well, I don't get they bring the head cold, but they're.
I meant to say Charles Huff, the current coach of Southern Miss, who was previously at Marshall. Before that, he was with Nick Saban in Alabama. He was the running backs coach for Nick Saban. And when he went to Marshall, his running backs balled the fuck out. All right.
Every single year.
Yeah. Honestly, they were like a must. If you could in fantasy, they were like almost like a must get if you could, because some of them would be first round draft picks and stuff. But no, I am with you. And when I look at Georgia Southern running the air raid, there's something that is unavoidable with the air raid. I enjoy the air raid offense. I do, but not when everybody runs it. The air raid, to me, the thing that makes the air raid weak is, to me, when you practice against it nonstop, it kind of hurts your physicality as a team.
Yeah.
And you don't go against the run that often. So I do think for running teams like Southern Miss, so I know they're balanced, but I think Charles Huff would like to run the ball as a former running backs coach. So when you see the 135th ranked defense, I'm assuming they had the bye week leading up to it, that Jeffrey Pittman out of Taylorsville, Mississippi, is going to be a big part of that, and former Mississippi State Bulldog. So yeah, at 5,200, he's going to have a big game. And if you look at what he's done too, like he had 80 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. He's actually had 4 touchdowns the past 2 games. So he also has 10 catches on the season. So getting him involved with that, I like that play. Did you have a third running back?
I did. And kind of to add on to that point too, that's why I tethered him with Braylon Braxton, because to your point, when you look at Georgia Southern play defense, they don't really crash the line of scrimmage pretty heavy. Like, they're not run fitting as kind of their main priority. They're dropping back to try to cover over routes and zones. And if you can have an athletic quarterback eat up that yardage, if you can have a running back outside of your quarterback eat up that yardage, you're going to pick up 7 yards a carry and have those chances to bust a big one. So that's kind of why I like that double pairing there. I actually went with, in terms of my third running back in my flex spot, this was kind of my longest shot on the board, and I went with Marlon Gunn, your boy. I think when he's such a fun player to watch, hasn't had the volume that I think he deserves, but last week he did pick up 11 total touches. It felt like he was running up more efficiently than a lot of their other backs. And I think if there is a chance that this ends up being, in my opinion, like Tulane kind of having an upper hand early, we might see a little bit of a mixture and try to find that hot hand at running back.
Yeah. Now, the only thing, and Marlon Gunn, I've liked him since Mike Houston was a coach. And for whatever reason, he hasn't got on the field as much as I thought he would. Like, he flashes sometimes when he's on the screen. Well, we run this little bitch offense though, but that scares me sometimes, because I think our running backs, between him and London Montgomery, the Penn State transfer, I think both running backs are very good running backs. Sometimes we don't commit to them enough, in my opinion. But I'm actually, the irony here is I am on the opposing side. I know ECU is a top 26 defense. I believe they're 26th in the nation. But I also think there'll be opportunities in this game, especially with the way that Retzlaff runs the ball. You can get so distracted by Jake Retzlaff with his running capability. Remember, he had that 70-yard touchdown against Duke on the ground. He's got 7 rushing touchdowns on the ground already this season. So I wanted to play one of the Tulane backs because I just think that Retzlaff is such a focal point of the offense that I feel like there's opportunity for the backs. Now they kind of play 2 or 3 different backs with Arnold Barnes and Javon Gordon and Mobley, but I went with Gordon mainly because he's gotten 16 rushes more than everybody else, but also he is their goal line option. So he scored the majority of the touchdowns out of the running back room. And he's priced appropriately at just what was he 4K. So Javon Gordon, yes. And some of the other logic here was that he's a freshman. So with each game, he got 15 carries the last time they played. So he's working as he had 5 carries against Northwestern. Perfect. I think with each game he's becoming the guy that they trust. So that was the logic on taking the freshman Javon Gordon. A little bit of a gamble though because of the way they split carries with Arnold Barnes and Mobley. Yeah. So at 4K, bargain shopping. All right, wide receiver wise. I'm curious your highest priced wideout and where you went. Where'd you go?
Yeah, so I went back to that Southern Miss Georgia Southern game, and I do kind of feel like Georgia Southern's actually going to be a team that's playing a little bit from behind. And even if they aren't, I like the idea of this being a competitive game where they're just passing all the way through as well. And Camden Brown at wide receiver spot for Georgia Southern, he's racking up the most targets week by week over the last 3. He's also producing over 100 yards back-to-back games. And the kind of interesting thing with him is although he's getting all this target share and even red zone target share, he only has 1 touchdown in the last 2 games. And so even though he's producing, these 20-point outings, I think in a game like this where it is going to be, I think, inherently high scoring, all of a sudden we might have a double-digit, touchdown game or 2 touchdown game rather, and have like a 30 or 40-point fantasy outing from him in this one.
Yeah, no, I mean, you want to take these wideouts. I did not have the money actually. What was this price?
6,400.
I guess I could. Interesting.
Yeah, he was one that I was just like, yeah, give out the lineup.
No. I'm going to give out my lineup, but I'm saying like I might turn in a second one because I do have 1,100 left over.
Yeah.
So I'll give out the lineup that I built, but I went with, so I've had a chance to watch a lot of Georgia Southern over the past couple of years. I disagree with them going to the air raid, but I will say going to the air raid, they have a wideout that over the years, I'm actually surprised he stayed at Georgia Southern, to tell you the truth, because I think it was back at the Nebraska. Remember when Georgia Southern beat Nebraska a couple years ago?
Yeah.
I watched that game, and a perfect example is when he played USC this year. He had 6 catches, 59 yards, and a touchdown. He has been a beast. He had a 95-yard kick return for a touchdown last week or 2 weeks ago. I think it was because they had a bye week. He always jumps off screen to me. Daylon Cobb, their wide receiver. Yeah. Now he's not putting up monster numbers yet. He has yet to have a 100-yard game. I just feel like he is one of their best players. I think it was the Wisconsin game last year too. It was another one that he stood out to me. 6,500, Daylon Cobb. This guy in the open field is a beast. I'm surprised. I mean, how many times, like we're watching how many games? I mean, every Michigan wideout drops a pass every time you fucking watch the game. There's a bunch of teams where you're just sitting there like, how the hell did they not get this guy? Right? Like this guy was a beast the past 3 years.
Yeah.
So Daylon,
I will say something that popped up with Daylon Cobb, because to your point, like he's a crazy like screen popper when he has those flashes. And I remember, I can't remember what game it was that they were a heavy underdog, maybe Liberty early on in the season. They got him featured with like 12 targets. They were throwing a bunch of screens his way. And then I think he had a fumble early on, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, you're in the doghouse. It's like you're Georgia Southern, man. Just throw him the
Yeah.
ball and let him get through
And
it.
we have like 3 years of data of this guy being a baller.
Yeah.
Like I remember like 3 years ago watching them. But they upset Nebraska, and I think just maybe the App State game, because I always watch that game. I was just like, man, who the fuck are these wideouts? It was him and another guy that has since graduated. But I was like, God damn, they're both beasts. They're both like super athletic. And I was like, as an ECU fan, I was like, how the hell do we not have Daylon Cobb on our team? Right? We got to go get Daylon Cobb. But yeah, so 6,500, I went with him as my top price wideout. So I kind of went. That's why I have 1,100 left over, and that's why it might not be the best game plan what I'm doing. But I'm curious to see how this lineup works out. Who'd you go with the second wide receiver spot?
Yeah, so I went again with ECU just because I think game flow is going to dictate them to be passing, even if it's competitive or they're trailing.
Regardless, yeah,
right. Yeah, I think it's going to be all game long. And Yannick Smith is a guy that I don't think is going to be playing at ECU next year. He's just athletic. He's 6'3". Yeah, he looks like a freak when he's out there, and I know he's listed at 6'3". He looks bigger. He also looks heavier than 207, and he just kind of moves really fluidly. And I love these types of guys. They're big time red zone threats. And the thing with him being a red zone threat is he only has 2 touchdowns on the entire season. I think that's going to change sooner rather than later, and I think it could potentially change big time in this game here.
Yeah, we're going to pay up to keep him, and we should. ECU, if you're listening to this, pay up to keep him, because the guy's just a sophomore. He had 9 catches for 146 yards against BYU, which is a top 25 defense in the country currently. So I like that play. I did not roster him, but it makes a lot of sense, and I probably should with that second lineup. My second most expensive wideout is a tight end. This is why I'm saying I might be gambling too much over here, Donaldson. But Louisiana Tech, we know they run the air raid. Sonny Cumbie throws the ball like 90 times a game. And if you haven't caught their tight end Eli Finley, I think this guy could be in the NFL. Now he did not play the last time they went out. That's maybe why I should pivot. But if you look before that, when they played Southern Miss, he had 6 catches for 154 yards. He's at Heath, Texas. He's their leading receiver. I just wonder though if he was injured or the previous game. How healthy is he this game? That might make me pivot. You know what? I think you've convinced me to pivot to Yannick Smith just because of that. But if you love college football, folks, and your NFL guys or whatever, keep an eye on Eli Finley, the tight end for La Tech, because he is a beast. But with him not knowing how healthy he is, I'm going to pivot to Yannick Smith. So good play, Donald. This is why we do this. We work it out. All right. Give me another wideout that you have.
Yeah. So my last wideout and my last player in my lineup for Thursday is Brock Steiner from
Great
Jacksonville
name.
State. Oh yeah. I when you have a Brock Reichsteiner or whatever the hell you pronounce it as, you're putting up some gritty numbers, man. You're breaking tackles, you're making the contested catches, and honestly, that's what he's been doing. Wimsat, as good as I think he is as in terms of an athlete and moving the ball in spots, he's an erratic passer. And so sometimes investing in that type of style is like a ultimate gamble because he might just shit the bed. But when the target share is there, when you have a guy who's getting those high efficiency throws, he's catching a lot of shallow crosses, a lot of out routes. I do want to hand in that, especially at a price that I think is reasonable at 5,300. So I ended up going with him as my final player on the board here.
Yeah. And shout out to David saying sometimes it's good to have $1,100 left. Well, now I still have 800. So, yeah. What's crazy, man, is I've done this show and I've hit a couple times for like serious cash, like thousands of dollars. I'm always amazed that no one copied the lineup because this was like a $10 entry. I think I have 2 or 3 times finished in the top 5. Where I've won like a G or 2. I think the most I won was like 3 or 4,000 in the COVID year. Right. But I'm always amazed that some people will take like a nugget here or there and take one player, but they never turn in a lineup for $10. You might as well. I mean, we watch the shit out of the sport. Final guy for me is going back to the Kennesaw game, because I think no matter who starts, both quarterbacks are capable of putting up numbers. And I also think, I mean, I will say Louisiana Tech's defense has gotten better over the years, and that's kind of why they have been winning more games, and maybe Sonny Cummey can, preserve his job. But I still think Kennesaw is better than what they should have beat Wake Forest. I thought they were better than Wake Forest. They missed an extra point. They also had a kick blocked, a field goal blocked. They lost 10-9 at Wake. Their only other loss is to Indiana, and Cincinnati was in true asshole mode. That was like a 21-6 game in the third quarter, and Cincinnati scored like 1,000 points in the third and fourth. I think this team is better than the perception right now. I think this team is a legit contender in this conference. That's what makes this game very intriguing tonight. But their receiver is their leading receiver is a guy named Gabriel Bernard, I believe, or Benyard, I think it is. This dude's pretty fucking good, and he's coming off of a 4-catch, 41-yard touchdown performance against MTSU. But look back to the Wake Forest game, had over 100 yards. Look back to the Arkansas State game, had over 100 yards and a score. So I am rostering Gabriel Benyard out of I don't know how to pronounce this, Acilla, Georgia. Yeah, at 5,500, I think he's a little underpriced, and I think both these quarterbacks are capable of passing the ball. So am I worried that what happens if Amari Odom doesn't play? Well, then I am assuming Dexter Williams will play. So I'm not going to panic at that. That's my final play. You already gave out everybody, right?
Yep. All right. And the only reason I was kind of a little bit hesitant on Kennesaw State, Louisiana Tech from like a fantasy points perspective was if Kennesaw State gets their way, they're going to have like 8-minute long possessions, and all of a sudden all the passing and the snaps that you kind of want when you're hunting that big time performance, it might just be on the side of Kennesaw State and the rushing attack.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I mean, that's a good point because La Tech not known. Well, last year was like the first year they had a respectable defense, but can they sustain that? Because their DC left to go to Coastal Carolina, or he's pretty much their only talent on that roster. Let's jump into Friday. I know the chat. C. Richard Norton has been repping Caleb Hawkins, the stud freshman from North Texas. Which we will get to here. But Friday slate, pretty fantastic. Before I do that, though, I want to let you know that the College Football Experience DFS episode is brought to you by, us. We are part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, and the NHL is back, and so is the Hockey Gambling Podcast. Join Ryan and Joel as they break down the biggest games, storylines, awards, and best bets throughout the season. So let it slide. And check out the NHL, the Hockey Gambling Podcast for daily NHL picks. We're also brought to you by MyBookie.ag. MyBookie is your place to bet on football, and everything else. Their prop builder is second to none, and their motto is bet on anything, anywhere, anytime. You can easily deposit, get lightning fast payouts using crypto. So head on over to MyBookie.ag, and when you do, use our promo code TCESGPN for 100% bet back bonus up to $500. That's for new customers. That's mybookie.ag, promo code TCESGPN. And we're also brought to you by Novig. Novig is America's #1 sports prediction market. And with Novig, you are getting the best prices because they're an exchange. Sorry, my phone is ringing. Novig's available in 35 different states as well. You got to check it out. Download the Novig app. Get $50 when you spend $5 if you use our promo code SGPN. So get in on the action with Novig, promo code SGPN. All right. Appreciate C. Richard Norton in the chat. You're a North Texas fan too, right? See Richard Norton. That game is super exciting. So the Friday card, folks, in case you forget, we have a shit ton of FCS Ivy League games. Unfortunately, DK does not cover them. But those are available, and we will have those on the FCS show, which will be late night tonight after the ECU game. But the big one is you have that shitty Big Ten matchup. But both teams probably going to end up bowl teams if I had to bet. Rutgers heading to Washington. That's the big one for the Power 5 boys out there. But Fresno State at Colorado State's another one in the Mountain West. Jay Norvell trying to scratch and claw his way off the hot seat, and he needs a win this like no other. And then the big one that he's talking about, C. Richard Norton, is the South Florida North Texas game. I think that's the game of the day. I'm very excited to watch that game. You could make an argument that might have the biggest stakes of the whole weekend. I know that you have the Red River Shootout and stuff, but like the winner of that is probably going to have the inside track. I know Memphis is still involved, but specifically North Texas, their schedule, if they win that game, their toughest game, first off, they miss a lot of the good teams in the AAC. And I think their only really tough game left would be home to Navy, and that's in Denton. So they're in a great spot if they can get that win to potentially make the college football playoffs. How cool would that be, seeing the mean green in there?
Yep.
Now, speaking of that, first off, I will let you know that I rostered two quarterbacks. I pretty much do that with a lot of slates, unless it's a really shitty time slate. But speaking of North Texas, the kid that beat out our boy Reese Poffenberger, Drew Mestemaker, great name.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen this guy's stats so far this year?
He's putting up some numbers.
Dude, he has yet to throw. So he played in the bowl game last year, and he threw for like, I don't know, 400 yards or something in the bowl game. I forget what it was. But so far this season, folks, he has thrown. So he's still a freshman because he redshirted last year. He has 11 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and over 1,200 yards. And they run the air. So like they're putting the ball up there a lot. Pretty remarkable stats. So Mestemaker is only 7,500. What am I missing there at 7,500 with a guy that has, I mean, like I said, he hasn't really turned the ball over much, so you're not going to lose points there. He's coming off this season, I guess his best game was against the FCS opponent, but still the game script mattered so much. They were up so many points against Washington State early that he didn't need to be in that long.
Right.
They won that one like 59-10. So I think he's undervalued at 7,500. Drew Mestemaker. Did you roster Drew Mestemaker? And if not, who were the quarterbacks you went with?
So I did not, but I thought it was a really good price on a guy that I think game script is kind of taking away some of his numbers, and he's already put up some good numbers this season as well. I actually went to the other side with Byron Brown. I think when you're looking at South Florida, like it runs through Byram. And last week, Cartavius Norton got stretchered off for USF on Friday, and that I think is a big hit because he's kind of like their quote unquote bell cow who they would theoretically give 10 to 15 carries to, and he wouldn't fumble. He was pretty safe with the ball. And I think because of that loss, we're just going to see Byron Brown involved even more in the run game. And against North Texas, that I think actually has a bad defense. Their offense kind of carries the load, I think, in a lot of these games. South Florida is going to be able to put up points, and I think a lot of them are going to be because of Byron Brown and his legs.
You can't go wrong with Byron Brown. I mean, I've been a big fan of this kid. He's out of North Carolina. So I'm frankly a little bit surprised he's out of Raleigh. But he's still like, I don't know if like South Florida just gave him a bunch of money or something, but like have you driven a Gio Lopez lately at North Carolina? Seeing some of the other schools that, I mean, maybe they came calling. That's the best thing about this is like, he might just be a loyal dude to Alex Galesh. I mean, there's so many elements to this stuff. You saw it with Ashton Jeanty at Boise State there, but
it's also, it's one of those things where he's not a natural football thrower. Like you look at him and he's like throwing a javelin, and so it's like, one, you need a QB coach or a team that's just like, we don't care if you throw it weird, dude, you're completing passes, go and do your thing. And obviously last year he was hurt at the back end of the season. So I think it's a number of different things where he was probably not guaranteed a starting role at a much bigger school. And so why transfer kind of laterally in that case?
Yeah. And I'm wondering, and I want to say, I'm trying to remember how many games he started last year before he got injured.
I think it was like 4. It was not that many.
So he's probably going to redshirt after this year is my point. Cause it says senior, but I'm like, wait a second. He only threw 2 touchdowns last year. So I think you're right that, so, I mean, I wonder if Galesh, gets hired away and takes him as a starting quarterback to wherever he goes. You see that a lot.
That could be fun.
Yeah. You can't go wrong with that play though. He's a beast. My second quarterback though, I'm going to I do not like these East Coast teams traveling all the way to the West Coast.
We're in lockstep. Yeah.
Yeah. And I am a big fan of this guy. I think he's going to get better and better as his career continues to go along. And I'm referring to sophomore from Chandler, Arizona, Damon Williams. Damon Williams, I think, stole the show at that Sun Bowl game a season ago, where he just balled out. Now, this year, I thought he'd be putting up better stats, but some of that, he's not putting up terrible stats. But I still think game script matters. They were beating UC Davis by so much. They were beating, I guess Washington State was late, but he that was probably his best game. He was 16 of 19, 298, 4 touchdowns against the likes of Washington State. But another thing is on the ground, the guy's a beast. He had 88 yards rushing and a touchdown in that game. Last week he had 54. So each week, 54 was his lowest besides the Ohio State game. I just think that there's value here, especially with this offense with Jonah Coleman and Denzel Boston and Roebuck, the other receiver. So you rostered Damon Williams at 8,200.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people look at that Ohio State game where he had 4 fantasy points, and it felt like Washington's offense didn't move the ball, but that front for Ohio State is fucking crazy. And I think what we're kind of learning about Damon Williams now that we have more of a sample is he is a pocket passer, in kind of a similar vein of like Russell Wilson, where he has that athleticism, but he kind of chooses to live within the pocket and he will run and take off on improv rather than designed run plays. And when you look at Rutgers and just their front and how they performed against Mark Gronowski on Friday night, I think Damon Williams is going to put up like 4 or 5 touchdowns in this game and have himself a day.
I'm also on Washington minus the points. I just think that's smart. That's a tough spot for Rutgers. So we both load up with Damon Williams there. How about the running back spot though, man? Like did you go with 3? I actually went with 3. But I'm curious if you went with 3 here.
Yeah, and I'll even instead of giving you my highest price running back, I'm going to give you 2 running backs from the same team and kind of explain my reasoning here.
Sure.
Kind of like what I was saying about USF. Cartavius Norton, their bell cow, he's probably done for the year. He got stretchered off, was given the thumbs up, and it was a bad scene. Alvin Isaac last week had a fumble on like his second snap when he was actually running the ball well. They benched him, and because of game flow, because of the blowout, they were actually putting in their like 4 and 5s on the depth chart in at running back, and we never really saw Alvin Isaac again. I think because of the necessity of him, one, trying to get out of the doghouse, he's going to be a lot better, a lot more involved, especially with that injury at running back. And then I doubled up on actually Sam Franklin in the USF because he's the lead running back now, and he looked really, really good. That's actually what kept Alvin Isaac off the field on Friday night as well after that fumble, because he was catching the ball well, he was running the ball well. And I think if you're banking on the upside of that being a high-scoring game, which I think it will be, the running back for USF is going to put up numbers. And in total, I only spent $8,800 on the 2 of them there.
Yeah, I like it, especially, it depends like who you have winning the game, but I still think no matter what, there's going to be some offense in that game. Both those offenses are very good. So I like it. I at the running back spot, the chat will appreciate the fact that Caleb Hawkins, the freshman out of Shawnee, Oklahoma there, the past 2 games. So, that's the thing about learning about these freshmen. So, early on against Lamar, he got 5 rushes. Against Washington State, it was just 8 rushes. But now, after that, it started. He ran for 99 against Army. Against South Alabama, 140 and 2 touchdowns. And then when you see what the guy can do receiving the ball, he had a 68-yard touchdown receiving the ball against South Alabama as well. He's electric. So I did roster Caleb Hawkins at the running back spot there. Now they do play 2 running backs. You should know that North Texas is definitely a team that they also have what's his name, Mackenzie McGill, So just know that from the start. But I think Hawkins is a home run threat there. So did you roster Caleb Hawkins?
Yes, I did, echoing a lot of the same sentiments. And my only hesitancy was, kind of to your point, the game script is favored the running game for North Texas in the early goings a lot. Also, they run out two different running backs, and USF is presumably probably one of the more athletic teams against the run that they will have faced so far. They kind of held Boise State's good running backs in check, and so that concerned me a little bit. But on a slate like this, I think you got to take that home run stab, and he's definitely a guy that can put up some monster numbers for sure.
Yeah, and I paired him with I'm curious if you did this as well, but Jonah Coleman, the stud running back, who I think is one of the best running backs in the nation. He transferred with Jed Fish from Arizona to Washington. He's 7K. Did you roster Jonah Coleman? I know Rutgers historically have a good defense, but this year I don't think that defense is good. Another thing is I just don't like him traveling this far. So did you roster Jonah Coleman?
Oh man, I wanted to, and I still might pull off Hawkins actually for Jonah Coleman, even though presumably lower price, that means it's going to be a little bit of a worse edition. I don't think that's necessarily always the case. And yeah, man, I do think Washington's offense is going to do numbers. I just think in the early goings, like this has real blowout potential, I think, for Washington. And all of a sudden, if that ends up being the case, they might just pull Jonah Coleman off the field and say, hey, you're too valuable.
That is
game
true.
Script.
That
and
is true.
That's kind of what worries me more so than anything in that game.
Yeah. Yeah. So wait, you have a running back to give out then? You have another one to give out, right?
So I have Hawkins, and then I have the two USF backs as my three. Yep.
Sorry, I'm a terrible listener.
Oh no, you're good.
It's hard to keep track of like, wait, did he do this? Did he do that? I went with the third running back. Let me do a quick check again on this because the weather changes. Let me just quickly check on. Because they were calling for rain. No, they're still calling for rain. Mm-hmm. So we have rain in Fort Collins Friday night.
Yeah.
Fresno State, going back to when I interviewed Matt Entz on this very show, he wants to bring the fullback back to California. And he said he can't get enough fullbacks on one roster. At North Dakota, if you watch North Dakota State over the years, folks, they ran the fuck out of the ball. Even when they had Carson Wentz or Trey Lance or whatever, they were a run team first, then passing the ball. The problem is figuring out which running back it's going to be. But there is one clear guy that gets the bulk of the carries in the goal line, or in the red zone, I should say. But it's a little bit of a gamble here on just because they have so many different options. But Rayshawn Luke, the junior running back out of South Main, California, this is a guy that leads the team in touchdowns. And he only had 8 rushes for 83 yards last week, but averaging 10.4 yards a carry and having a 68-yard run in that game. I'm going to say they're going to want to get him the ball more. And the fact that it's going to rain, I think they're probably going to give all their running backs a good amount of carries. So I went with Rayshawn Luke against a Colorado State team that I don't think is very good. Why don't you fire away with your top wideout?
Yep. So kind of to what we've been talking about with this Rutgers Washington game, I want to invest in the Washington passing attack and offense in the early goings. I think Denzel Boston, when you're looking at target share, big playability, red zone looks, he's kind of the obvious one where, okay, he's going to get something, I think, against this Rutgers defense. It's just a matter of, does he have that big time game, or does he kind of just have, an 18 to 22 point type of outing? I think that's actually his floor when you're looking at what his potential in this game is. And that ultimate upside would be like 35, 30 points. And I think that is 100% on the table in this matchup here.
Yeah, it's funny. You went with him. I went with the number 2 wideout, the freshman Desmond Roebuck from Marana, also Arizona. Good. Well, and he's one that I'm anticipating will be getting better and better as the season goes along. But I mean, both those wideouts are studs. He had 4 for 61 in a score last week. He even had 4 for 58 against Ohio State, and they're super elite in the secondary. So I went in that same very game. You can't get enough of that Washington offense in that game. How about second wideout, man?
Yep. So sticking in that same game, going to the other side actually with KJ Duff. I think Ethan Kelly-McManus, I don't know what happened, but he's actually competent now. Like, he's not just a shit thrower of the football, generic white guy going out there doing his thing. Like, he actually throws on the run. He's on time. He's been accurate. And I do think that if they're playing from behind the way that I think that they will, even if they're getting blown out, he's still going to be getting his. And so KJ Duff for Rutgers, who has been really coming on as of late, 119.
Shout out to Duff Beer.
Yeah, shout out to Duff Beer, Simpsons. But yeah, no, I really do love KJ Duff in this game. And I think if there is that garbage time touchdown, he's probably one of the guys that ends up getting being that recipient of that touchdown.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I like it. I like it. So my second wide. So this is a good question for you. I struggled with this one. So I wanted action, and I ultimately decided that I wanted the action in South Florida, North Texas over Rutgers, Washington. But I went, and some of the reason why I went with this guy is because of his name. From one Nimrod to another. Yeah. Chaz Nimrod from Bentonville, Arkansas is a baller for South Florida. And look, he's had 3 touchdowns in the past 2 weeks. He had 5 for 54 in a score last week. He had 4 for 119 the week before. And even against the Miami Hurricanes in their defense, 4 for 128. Go back to the Boise game, 3 for 96. The guy just puts up numbers. But the dilemma I was having is I chose him even though I had enough money for DT Sheffield. North Texas fans will know him. DT Sheffield is more expensive than Nimrod by about, I think it was $100 or $200. Sheffield has 3 touchdowns on the season. He's a little bit more of a possession receiver. I chose Chaz Nimrod over DT Sheffield. Would you have done the same?
I would have done the same, and I did do the same. Nimrod is the guy who can bust off the 70-yard touchdown. To your point, Sheffield, you're banking on just a lot of catches and hopefully gets a red zone target. And in a game like this, where you have a 67.5 point total, like, there are going to be some explosive touchdowns. And South Florida's offense, I rostered Keyshawn Singleton last week. I was watching that game all the way through. He injured his hand on the first drive, and then he dropped 2 balls, dropped a touchdown, fumbled the ball. And so I don't think he's going to be maybe he's a good player. I don't know, but he looked like shit last week. And I don't think that when you have a guy like a Chaz Nimrod on the other side, who's just looking fantastic, that you have a reason to go away from him there. So yeah, go ahead and give me Nimrod at 5,200. What a steal.
Yeah, we both got him. So you got one more player left or 2?
That's actually everything. That's my entire lineup. Yep.
Well, I have one more player left, and I'm taking you back to the Fresno game. I think there's a value play. I'm looking at the tight end spot. EJ Warner, a lot of reps. Son of Kurt Warner at the quarterback spot. I know it's in the rain, which makes you hesitate a little bit.
Athletic guy, though.
But Richie Anderson, not the fullback from the New York Jets from Penn State, but Richie Anderson the third is a sophomore for Fresno State. And what if I told you he's building a rapport? Look, in the first couple of weeks with Warner, he had 1 catch, 11 yards. 2. How about last week? 7 for 67. 7 for 67. So at 4,100, Richie Anderson the third, and I think what could I see in this game where they're gonna? It's the rain. Is that heavy run packages? Well, with heavy run packages comes opportunity to go play action, and Richie Anderson the third against a shitty Colorado State defense. I see opportunity at 4,100, and that's my final guy.
Can I add on to that, Chloe, too?
Sure.
Because in straight up Matt Entz, North Dakota State fashion, Fresno State is not throwing to their wide receivers more often than not. Richie Anderson is leading the team over the last two games rather in targets.
There we go. Exactly. And he's building that rapport, the security blanket for EJ Warner.
Yep.
All right, look, folks, going to get to Saturday morning, but before we do that, I want to let you know that the College Football Experience DFS show is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog is a great place to play fantasy pick'em, where you can win up to 500 times the amount of money you enter. Simply pick higher or lower on your favorite player's stats. Underdog's got a brand new offer for new customers. Play just $5, get $100 in bonus funds when you sign up with our promo code. That's TCESGPN. And this brings up our Underdog portion of the show, where I have a couple plays I'm going to give away. I don't know if you got something we're going to fire away, but I think it starts tonight. And to your point on rostering Jake Retzlaff, I think there is opportunity for Jake Retzlaff here to run for more than 56.5 yards. So I'm taking the higher. East Carolina's defense, although 26 in the nation, I do believe some of that is bullshit. I believe some of that was game script in BYU. I believe also playing Campbell and also taking on an Army team that was just on a Thursday night that just could not get, they were asleep. I think Retzlaff will have some opportunities here. So I took the higher 56.5 rushing yards. And I paired that with another quarterback that ran for a lot of yards last week, Nico Iamaleava, the quarterback for UCLA. I'm taking the lower 59.5 rush yards. They were able to have success on the ground against Penn State because Jerry Neuheisel was the makeshift OC. Joe Rossi, very good defensive coordinator for Michigan State, is going to have time to study that. And I think they're going to put the kibosh on running the ball that much. So I'll take the lower 59.5 rushing yards there. Do you have one you want to give away? Because I have another one as well.
Yeah, I'm going to give Damon Williams higher than 1.5 passing touchdowns. I think when you're looking at that, and it's relatively decent odds as well on Underdog, like that almost kind of feels like a potential free square unless he's running the ball in at the red zone rather than, actually throwing these 15-yard, patterns. And so, yeah, higher than 1.5 passing touchdowns. And then similar vein with Nico Iamaleava, I took the lower of 206.5 passing yards. I just think actually I guess we're a little bit contradictory here because I think he's going to be more so focused on running the ball because when teams do jump those several time zones, especially when you're talking about a noon kick, the passing game seems to suffer the most. And if that ends up being the case, Nico might be taking off a little bit more to kind of supplement some offense in there.
They just had a lot of creative running packages that were designed runs that I think Rossi will prepare for. That's my thing.
I think
it's
so.
Like Penn State, Jim Knowles was like, we've never seen packages like that before from them. So that was the logic for me. Another play that I think is worthy here. I like Kansas plus 15 points against Texas Tech.
Me too.
I think one of the ways to really neutralize a great pass rush in college football is to have a mobile quarterback, but also a lot of option read stuff and just creative option attack. And that is exactly what Lance Leipold runs with Jalon Daniels. That you can't just speed around the rush if when you do that, because if you have to think, you actually have to think. And I think with that will create opportunity for Kansas to score points. Now, I don't know about Kansas's defense against Texas Tech, but Jalon Daniels, I know he hasn't ran as much as previous years, but I'm going to take the higher than 30.5 rushing yards in Lubbock. I think there'll be opportunity for him there. And I paired that with Noah Fafita, the veteran quarterback for the Arizona Wildcats. So you look back, Arizona's taking BYU. Arizona was terrible last year. They played at LaVell Edwards Stadium and got just destroyed. 41-19, right? But even with that, going up against a good defense, we know Jay Hill, good DC for BYU. Even with that, Fafita in that game threw for 275, a touchdown and 3 picks, right? Not a good game. I'm sure Noah would tell you that. but Noah's a good quarterback. And when I see his pass yards at 232.5 pass yards, and they're at home this time in Tucson, I'm buying it. All right. This guy's got 13 touchdowns, 3 interceptions on the season. He's coming off of a game against Oklahoma State where he almost threw for 400 yards, 376 yards. I know BYU's got a good defense, but I just think 232.5 passing yards is off. That's just off. So give me Fafita at higher than that, and that will conclude our Underdog Fantasy plays. But check out Underdog Fantasy. Use that promo code TCESGPN. Once again, new customers play just $5, get $100 in bonus funds when you sign up with our promo code TCESGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Rhythm is crushing it in college football and NFL with picks and props. They went 8-2 on passing props last week, and in the NFL, they were 5-0 on Dylan Gabriel debut props there. Rhythm's also giving away weekly cash prizes just for tracking your bets in the app. Track 5 bets at the same time from any model that you build, and you could win $1,000. Use the promo code SGPN25 when you download the Rhythm app for 25% off your first month. Download Rhythm. That's RITHMM. Promo code SGPN25. All right, let's get to this Saturday day slate because it's interesting. I actually think I like the Saturday night slate better this week, but the day slate, there's just a lot of games, so you do have options. But I went with 2 quarterbacks again, and this was a little bit of a struggle for me to figure out what quarterbacks I wanted. So there was one that stood out to me right from the start that I wanted, and his name is Brendan Sorsby for Cincinnati at 7,700. So I rostered him. I don't think UCF's defense is great. They're at home. I know they stormed last week. That's a little concerning, but I think he's going to just put up good numbers no matter what. So on a Saturday slate where you have a little bit of uncertainty at some of the, I felt like it was one of the harder quarterback slates for a Saturday morning that I've seen so far this year. So I went with Brendan Sorsby. What's great about him is he's dual threat. He gets you a lot of yards on the ground too. So I'll get to my second quarterback in a second. What'd you do at the quarterback spot?
Yeah, so I led it off with Thomas Castellanos, which he is very, very highly priced, and that's because Pitt's defense is absolutely trash. I mean, if you can score over 30 points as West Virginia on Pitt's defense, anybody can put up 50 on you. And I think Thomas Castellanos, coming off that loss, the way that he was crying at the end of the last game, they're going to be geared up, ready to go. And at home, I think the momentum will be behind him early, and I really do think he's going to put up numbers one way or another here.
I think he will too. And I just think, you like to get the quarterbacks to get rushing stats too. They always score touchdowns and stuff on the ground. That's, I didn't roster him, but I can see the logic in that. And I almost rostered the freshman going against him just because I thought, I just thought, man, I go Pitt, Kerwin Bell. Anytime you can get Kerwin Bell's, I know his son Cade Bell's DOC. That offense just can put up numbers if they don't turn the ball over. But I went with Caden Salter. This is a guy that threw 3 interceptions on Saturday. And this is why I struggled. I did at one point I had the freshman Pitt QB in here. At one point I had Rocco Beck in here. But then I thought, that number's a weird number. That Iowa State Colorado game. I'm surprised at that number. You do have a little bit of a tragic magic situation going on with Dion having surgery. And then I actually thought Colorado moved the ball well with Caden Salter last week. He just made dumb turnovers. So the dumb turnovers still might happen, but I do think he can get numbers. We talked about running the ball as well. You want some quarterbacks that are capable of rushing the ball. This is a guy, that's had a rushing touchdown in every game he's played in this year. So you mix that with the fact that he's only had 1 300-yard game, but I do think the passing game is improving. But this is a little bit of a stretch. I'm not going to bullshit you. What do you want? Do you want Rocco back on the road, back to back away, where the line doesn't make sense to you? Do you want a freshman in his first ever road start at Pitt, which I thought long and hard about because that offense is fucking good. I believe that offense can fly. I didn't want to spend up for Castellanos. So that was my decision making there. Is this Salter? I might be better off with the freshman the more I think about it, but
I actually think you went with the right one, because Iowa State's secondary, which took a lot of, everybody was kind of looking at the wide receiver spot for Iowa State as like the position group that got really debilitated by the draft and by graduation and transfer portal stuff, everything else. It was really the linebacker and secondary play for Iowa State that got hit the hardest. And yeah, I think when you're looking at how Cincinnati attacked them, how Iowa tried to attack them but couldn't, it was all through the seams. It was deep shots. And I do think that Colorado has a chance to really carve up Iowa State there.
Well, and they're starting 2 corners are out. I think one of them's out for the season. I think the other one's out indefinitely too, though.
Yeah, and they've been missing time, even going back to the Dublin game.
Yeah. So I think that's the play. I had a hard time though. Normally I feel like Saturday morning slate is pretty easy for me to find 2 quarterbacks that I like. What did you do with the other quarterback spot?
I went with Aiden Childs. I think when you're looking at UCLA,
he's from LA too. Yes. So does he want to show off in front of a team that probably a lot of his fans watch week in, week out?
Yeah, and even though UCLA is coming off that massive win, obviously the hangover letdown spot, jumping over several time zones, and that defense did not look good in the second half after Penn State really started to kind of move the ball. And when you're looking at how they performed against an athletic QB in Jack Lane and Devin Dampier, these are quarterbacks who move the ball and we're getting, 15 yards a chunk. Aiden Childs has been kind of relatively bad as a passer, or at least erratic. But even if he just goes out there, chucks for 200 yards, a couple touchdowns, the ground game is kind of where he's been making his money and making Michigan State at least competent offensively. And I do think he's going to be able to get his, and he's only 6,500 in terms of a price point as well. So that's why I end up going with him.
Well, that's not a bad one. That's not a bad one. That's really not a bad one. That one might even be better than Salter.
Those are the 2 I was kind of debating between, but Salter was more expensive.
Yeah, fair. All right, at the running back spot, I am going to roster the Heisman candidate, perhaps. Maybe after this week, a Heisman candidate. Ahmad Hardy, the ULM transfer. This guy's ran for over 100 yards every week. I know you would say competition not great. Well, what if I told you Alabama has the 2nd worst rush defense in the SEC? What if I told you Alabama charts 87th against the run? And we had some people when I did the reaction show on the Vanderbilt game say that no. What are you guys talking about here? Alabama bottled up Vanderbilt's rushing attack. Well, I understand the argument that you're thinking, okay, well, they only had 2 gigantic runs. Sure, that's true. They did have 2. I mean, Cedric Alexander had a 65-yard rushing touchdown in that game. Pavia had a 36-yard run and only had 22 yards elsewhere. I think game script mattered a little bit there. I also think they only ran to their running backs 6 times all game. Cedric Alexander had a 65-yard touchdown. He only had 4 carries, right? They didn't commit to the run much for whatever reason. I know they got down. Maybe that was part of it. But I don't think Alabama just fixed their fucking rush defense. They still gave up over 100 yards. So I just refuse to buy into that. I refuse. Alabama's rush defense has been trash all season. Georgia and Florida State exposed them. Vanderbilt technically put up a decent rushing number against them, despite only committing 6 rushes to their fucking running backs. So, you look at what Mizzou does. They run Pribula and they run Ahmad Hardy, and Pribula's their quarterback, the Penn State transfer. Look, maybe he doesn't put up as big of a number as we think, but I no. Eli Drinkowitz's team's going back to his time at Boise State as an OC or Appalachian State when he was the head coach. They run the fucking ball. And you look at it right now, they're the 3rd best rushing attack in the country, going up against like I said, the 88th, stand corrected, 88th best rush defense in the nation in Alabama. So give me Ahmad Hardy. I'm paying up. Did you roster Ahmad Hardy? And if not, who'd you roster?
I only went with one really high priced running back in this time window. And I wanted to do Ahmad Hardy, or at least he was on like kind of the table for me, but I went with Dean Connors, and in large part because Oklahoma. Yeah, and there's a reason
that we've rostered him for years. I didn't do it this time, and I'm probably going to eat shit on that. But continue. I'm sorry.
Include him in a lineup because he's at 7,900, and that's crazy high, and he hasn't had that monster game. But that monster game is coming, and against Oklahoma State with Connor Wegman dealing with an injury and Zion Chris looking unimpressive in that second half. Guess who they're going to be toting the rock to all game long? It's going to be our boy Dean, and he's going to find success because Oklahoma State is a turnstile. And I think, when you are looking at, how they're going to potentially outscore Oklahoma State by 20 plus points, it's probably going to be all on the ground for the most part, and we might be looking at a 4-touchdown game for our boy here.
That dude's just a fucking football player. I've loved him. He was at Rice the past couple of years. Rostered him a bunch of times. Me and NC Nick. One time, I think I was the first to roster him, and I think me and NC Nick had this. We were doing we would battle with bottles of bourbon. We'd have to buy for one another. And Dean Connors had a game with like 14 catches. It was there, but he also had like some rushing touchdowns. But out of the backfield, he had like 14, 15 catches. And I remember him texting me, "Who the fuck is Dean Connors?" Because he had not cut. I was like, "That's my boy." The guy can play, man. The guy can play. It did not surprise me one bit when I saw him transfer to Willie Fritz at Houston. I was like, "That's a Fritz player right there." My other running back, I'm going back to the well. I rostered him a week ago. He had 89 yards rushing. The only problem is he did not get a touchdown. And Iowa State's got a decent rush defense too, but he had 89 yards rushing there. I'm going to Tawee Walker, the Cincinnati Bearcats starting running back. He played high school ball in Vegas, I believe. The logic here is I still just wonder how much UCF, how good is UCF really? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They're 85th in rush defense. They're going on the road now. It's probably not going to be super cold yet in Cincinnati, but I just think Cincinnati's offense is pretty good. So I think they're gonna and once again going from Eli Drinkowitz to Satterfield. Satterfield is a guy that actually likes to run the ball. It's not necessarily power rushing, kind of speed option stuff, or spreads it out a little bit. But I think Walker could have a big game against the very, very Golden Knights. What else did you do at the running back spot?
Yeah, so I went with really light plays at the running back spot outside of Dean Connors, and I went with Mekhi Frazier for Michigan State. Similar angle with UCLA coming off that big time upset, jumping over several time zones, and also just not looking impressive in the second half defensively. Mekhi Frazier's getting a lot of touches. Got 18 last week, 14 the week before, and he's also getting in the mix in the passing game as well. And I think if Michigan State is going to win this game, and it's not going to be Aiden Childs, scoring the bulk of the touchdowns, I think it has to go somewhere. And Mekhi Frazier is one that I think can go hand in hand with an Aiden Childs play, because I think they are probably going to score around 28 points in this game. And it's going to come, I think, in very predictable ways, in my opinion.
Yeah. I do. I mean, I locked up Michigan State. I think so. I think you're sitting on something good there. Shout out to Chris A giving us $10 as well. Shout out from the weekday show, D3 football from FDU Florham. Hell yeah, let's go. There we go, Chris. Appreciate that. Go Florham. So I am curious. So I did not go with 3 running backs here. I loaded up on the wideouts. My highest price wideout is your boy, former Boise State wide receiver, Eric McAllister's Deli. Look, this guy, 17 catches, 385 yards, 5 touchdowns on the season. The only dangerous thing is if you remove the SMU game, I mean, he still had 2 touchdowns against Colorado, but I'm just saying he has only had 1 game over 100 yards, and boy, was it over 100 yards, because against SMU, he had 254 yards and 3 touchdowns. And there was another call where he had like a 50-yard catch that should have been upheld that was not. I'm going to the well against Kansas State. They're at K-State, Bill Snyder Family Stadium, but I think that's the edge. I think K-State's pass defense hasn't been super good this year. So did you roster your boy, Eric McAllister?
I held off, as hard as it is to say, and I think you're on the right track because red zone touches are there for him. And he's not just like getting the red zone looks and resulting in nothing. Like last week, he had a one-handed catch in the red zone on just like a fade to the pylon. You know, it was a 1% catch opportunity. He made the play. Obviously, the one they brought up against SMU, that was a Hail Mary kind of touchdown that should have been called a touchdown, but wasn't reviewed. I think you're on the right track there, but I actually ended up going a little bit heavy at Ryan Williams for Alabama, and in large part just because
he's amazing.
I don't know how he's amazing, and I don't know how good or how amazing Mizzou is. You know?
Oh, I think they're fool's gold.
Yeah, and
Even
Kansas moved the ball on them in the first half like crazy. So I think that this could be I think Mizzou could win this game. But I also think there's a range where Mizzou gets blown out in this game. And I think if that second one comes to fruition, it's because that Alabama passing attack is humming early.
No, I will, since you brought it up, I will go with their other wideout out of Vegas.
We always do
Jeremy Bernard. He's cheaper than Ryan Williams, but I mean, then look, last week 5 for 82 and a touchdown. He's actually scored 5 touchdowns the last 4 games. So he's had a touchdown every single week. You can almost guarantee it these days.
Uh-huh.
And then the one game he didn't score a touchdown, the season opener, he had 8 for 146. I don't know how the fuck he didn't score then. But yeah, just Missouri's going to be. I just think for Alabama, they don't commit to the run enough. Alabama's a weird team. Like as much as I have my future for them to win the national championship. I said they're going to win the national championship. I'm a little concerned, despite them winning impressively the past 2 weeks. I just am concerned that you can continue to win with a lack of I would like them commit to the run a little bit more, and I would also like the rush defense to be a lot better for me to feel solid about my pick for them to win the national championship. But regardless, I think Jeremy Bernard and Ryan Williams are very good plays there. What's your next wideout?
Yeah, so I went back to my boy Deuce Robinson, who I think is still getting way mispriced. Yeah, 4,600, man.
Yeah,
like isn't that wild? When you're looking at Tommy Castellanos is 9,600. Like they know he's going to be able to move the ball. But his top wideout, who's an athletic freak and an NFL player who's producing some crazy numbers, is getting priced at 4,600. Yeah, sign me up until he's not.
He's more than double. He's doubled up reception wise, more than doubled the wide receiver number 2. I don't get this. Why is he so undervalued? But this is
on top of that, through the first 5 weeks of the season, he had 12 targets, right? And it was kind of like, big explosive plays. The last 2 games, he had 13 and 10. Clearly, a focal point of the offense has switched, and he is the dude who's getting the targets.
Yeah, Deuce Robinson out of Phoenix, Arizona. The USC transfer. He's a beast, 4,600. That is my wideout too. And I'll actually keep you in that game because I think Pitt can move the ball. I don't think Florida State's defense is great. I think Pitt will move the ball on them, even though it's a freshman quarterback. Now, maybe because he's a freshman, maybe he gets a pick 6 or something. I potential. That's always on the table in your first ever road start. But what I do like is their receivers against a secondary that I don't think is very good in Florida State's. So when I see opportunity, they have multiple guys that I think you could play. But the one that stands out to me is Kenny Johnson, who leads the team in receptions, but not yardage. But if you pay attention to this, he's emerging right now. Against Boston College last week, he had 9 for 115 and a touchdown with the new quarterback. And why I think that's the thing is because he was he I think might have developed a little bit of a chemistry with the B team there. So I think he's completely undervalued right now at 4,500. Kenny Johnson out of York, Pennsylvania. I think yeah, let's go. What are you doing here?
Yeah, so I'm actually going to stick in that same game, and this is my final running back and my flex spot here. But instead of Desmond Reid, I actually went with Jules Goff, who, because Desmond Reid is kind of that, smaller receiving back, and he's questionable. Exactly. He hasn't been able to tote the rock as much as I think Pat Narduzzi would like, especially with the issues at quarterback, kind of ping-ponging back and forth. And Jules Goff is starting to get a lot of touches. He's also getting like goal line touches because he does have that bowling ball type of frame. He's a good pass catcher. If you guys remember Keyshawn Vaughn, who played for Vandy, he reminds me a lot of that kind of running style of quick in between the tackles, maybe not breaking off long runs, but he's going to get those little chunk yardages. And yeah, when you're pricing him at 4,200, I think he's going to be able to get in the end zone and potentially even be the lead back in a game that's going to be high scoring.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And look, there's a shot Reid doesn't even play. So, I mean, then you're getting the bulk. But even if Reid plays, I think he'll get action too. I like that play. That's our roster, right? You got anybody else?
My last one, I'll make this one pretty fast here, but I went to Notre Dame, NC State, a game we haven't talked about, and NC State's defense is probably one of the worst in Power 4 conference play. Jordan Faison, who has, I think, been getting taken out of the game a little bit because of game script as of late. He is still getting the targets early on, and because of that, just kind of game script blowout scenarios, he's only had 2 touchdowns on the entire season. I think that could really, really change, just kind of lift his spirits. And yeah, when you're pricing him at 4,500, I like the idea of potentially getting 2 touchdowns out of that type of guy.
I've rostered him the past 2 weeks. And I first off, I think he's a phenomenal player. And then I think CJ Carr lost in all of this shit. Everyone's talking Arch Manning and Lagway. Yeah. CJ Carr is the one that I think has emerged to me as like, it was
just the 2 losses that took him out of the narrative.
But he just looks so polished for a freshman where I'm like, wow. Yeah. I'm like, he's going to be a top 10 pick. Bryce Underwood's another one. If Michigan's wideouts could catch the fucking ball, those 2, I think, might be the ones that
if Michigan would have beat Oklahoma, I think everybody's like sucking off Bryce Underwood the same way that they were Malik Washington after Maryland beat Wisconsin.
Fair. And Underwood was the top recruit in the nation, so it's not like I'm sitting over here, the diamond in the rough. No, but CJ Carr is one that like I've really been fucking impressed with them. So
yeah.
All right, well, let's get to Saturday night because we're running late on this. This is what happens. We give the Thursday show. We give the next thing you know, we're doing a goddamn 6-hour podcast. I still got to talk CFL. All right, check out the CFL gambling podcast, by the way. But Saturday night, I thought this was the slate I had the most fun with, to tell you the truth.
Same.
And at quarterback, I did roster 2 quarterbacks. I did go back to the 3 running back system, but at the quarterback spot, I went with Jalon Daniels. I touched on this. Like I don't think Kansas will win the game, but I think they're going to cover the 15. Wouldn't shock me if they upset them, but I also think Texas Tech's defense is very good so far, but I also think they faced nothing like Kansas's offense at all. Really, there's nothing comparable to it so far. So I think Leipold will have a game plan to neutralize that pass rush, and I think that could benefit with Jalon Daniels rushing the ball. So at 8K, Jalon Daniels, don't get injured. What are you doing here at the top quarterback spot?
Yeah, so I'm actually right there with you with Jalon Daniels. But I doubled up at QB, and my other one is a little bit higher priced. I went with 2 kind of luxury options at quarterback here, and the other one was Jaden Maiava. The only thing that scares me about him is Michigan does have a defense that has looked impressive, and even Dylan Raiola's numbers against that defense were all garbage time and 1 Hail Mary before halftime. That kind of skewed some things, but jumping over those several time zones again. USC has a lot of weapons, and Maava is an athlete rather than Dylan Raiola, who's just kind of a lawn chair and a 5-star, Patrick Mahomes-esque weird whatever cosplay. I think Jay Maava is actually going to be somebody who can put up numbers inherently, and so I did want him on my roster in this one here.
No, that makes sense. And so the next quarterback that I went to, this was a kind of a dilemma for me as who do I want to go with? So I originally was going to go with the likes of who was my original quarterback because I went back and forth on this. Oh, Marcel Reed, right?
Oh, nice.
But then I was like, Florida's defensive line's causing some havoc. Even though I think they haven't faced anybody that kind of runs the way that they design stuff for Reed. So then I pivoted to one, even though I'm betting the other side, I just think he can put up enough numbers because of he's dual threat. And that is Bear Bachmeier. I think he's kind of undervalued at 6,600. First off, game script here. I kind of like the fact that even if Arizona does put it on them, I don't necessarily believe Arizona's just going to blow them out. But if that does happen, I do think they will keep Bachmeier in for the reps. Right? They need him to continue to get reps with Big 12 play there. But if you look at what he did last week against West Virginia, he threw for 351 yards. All right, 351 yards, and he rushed for another 43 and a touchdown on the ground. By the way, he had a passing touchdown as well. He ran for almost 100. I think it was 98 yards against Colorado. I think just the fact that they run him so much that it's a more valuable play in DFS than we realize. You know what I mean? Like even if they lose, even if they lose, 45-10, I still think he will throw for over 200 yards no matter what. And then I think he will have a bunch of designed quarterback runs. So he's got 5 rushing touchdowns on the season. Give me a beer. He's under 6,600. It's kind of fascinating. I mean, Arizona's defense, I do think it's vastly improved. Danny Gonzalez, I think, is a very good defensive coordinator. But I also think that it's just a little bit too much to think that he's not going to develop, or especially against a 3-3-5. I almost think your game plan should be designed quarterback runs. He has yet to face a 3-3-5 defense, so I'm a little concerned there. Arizona's defense, by the way, if you're wondering, it does chart pretty well so far, but some of that is schedule based, playing Hawaii and Weber State out the gates. But currently their pass defense 13th in the nation. Don't know that I really buy that though. But Bear Bachmeier, 6,600. How about your second quarterback?
Yeah, so actually already gave out 2 of them because I'm riding Jalon Daniels with you. And so I paired him with Jade Maava, and I did consider almost kind of getting a discount price at Bear Bachmeier because, to your point, like he's always involved in the game script, even if they're ahead or they're down. And I don't think it's going to be kind of a blowout ahead in the scenario that BYU is leading this game.
And even if it's this, if Brett's in the chat, shout out to Brett, says rain expected in that BYU Arizona game. I like it even more then because you're going to call more quarterback power. Now, obviously your passing stats probably won't be as much, but still I expect 20 or 30 carries then to Bear Bachmeier. Continue. I'm sorry.
No, yeah, and I'm surprised at that point. I'm surprised it rains in Tucson. I guess I'm not familiar with the climate.
Yeah, no, they get. I think Paul McCartney and the Beatles have a song about that, right? I feel like they get more thunderstorms than you realize. I didn't know that either until when I moved out to Los Angeles. I would do stand up some in Arizona, and then I would also just go to Arizona just to catch random games and stuff, basketball and football. I kind of was blown away. I got caught in many. Oh shit! I went hiking with Muddy Waters before I got caught in a major thunderstorm. They have a lot of thunderstorms, surprisingly. Anyway, continue.
No, yeah, and when you're looking at I think the aspect of that game that I want to target, I'm actually looking at the passing game with Noah Fafita, and obviously you brought him up why you thought he was a good play. I actually went with kind of a bargain bin shopping option in their wide receivers, because when you look at Chris Hudson, it's kind of similar to Deuce Robinson, where in the first four or five games of the season, or I guess 4 or 5 weeks of the season, rather, he wasn't getting a lot of target share, only 2 targets through the first 5 weeks. But over the last 2 games, he's seen 15 targets. And so priced at 4,100, I think that's a season long optic standpoint, not necessarily what's been happening as of late, because he has put up, 18.6 fantasy points, 8.3 fantasy points last week. He's getting targets. I think Arizona is going to start featuring him a lot more. And at 4,100, he was actually my lowest price wide receiver that I thought actually had some really good upside this week.
Interesting. I like it. Yeah, I'll jump to receiver before I get to running backs, because have you seen I feel like this has been some of my best plays of late have been with the Kansas Jayhawks and the Alabama transfer Emmanuel Henderson. I still think he's undervalued at 6,400.
Yep.
This guy, I'll go back to he's had 2 games over 100 yards, but he's also had 1 game against Cincinnati, 5 catches, 214 yards, 2 touchdowns. Last week, it wasn't as much, 5 for 53, but he did have a big drop in that game. I think at 6,400, the main reason why I like one Kansas receiver here, but I think Henderson's the best receiver Kansas has had in the Leipold era, is I just think he schemes guys wide the fuck open. Like there are plays where they get guys wide open. So I'm hoping one will be Henderson. He had that 90-yarder or 99-yarder, I think it was. I don't know, something in the 90s against Cincinnati. So going back to the well out of Hotfoot, Alabama, Emmanuel Henderson. Who's your second wideout?
Yeah, I'm actually in lockstep with you, and Emmanuel Henderson's actually my highest priced wide receiver. But when you're talking about the running back spot, my highest priced running back actually was Williams over at Texas Tech. And I think in large parts because
I got him too. He's a beast.
Yeah,
he's
such a dog.
He's emerging.
And he's involved in both angles, where, to your point, kind of we're in lockstep with this thinking Kansas is going to make this competitive game. I think this is going to be tough, the toughest game that Texas Tech has played so far. And whether they're up by a touchdown or down by a touchdown at any point, they're not going to take Jacoby Williams out of the game. And he's carving off efficient chunk plays. Kansas's defense is bad news. And at 6,800, I think he could have a really nice day, even if it is in kind of a losing effort potentially.
Yeah, completely agree. Completely fucking agree. I took a shot also on, and I know we're kind of all over the place, but I'm going to stay in that game and just tell you that I bet everybody in this game. So, I did take, first, I guess let's stay at the running backs or the running back spot, because I have LaShawn Williams.
Me too.
Because he shows dinged up. LaShawn Williams, your former Iowa Hawkeye out of Chicago. The one thing I'll say though is they need to commit to running him a little bit more. You go back to that West Virginia game. He had 19 rushes, 129 yards, and a touchdown. Mm-hmm. I would like to see that much commitment from them. Of giving him the rock. He's got 5 touchdowns on the season. I know Texas Tech's defense has improved. I also think Leipold that offense is going to be able to get theirs. I believe that. So you roster him as well. Let's stay in this game because I have one more player in this game, and that is Coy Eakin at 4,800. I roster this guy every week, I feel like. This guy is their leading receiver out of Stephenville, Texas. He had 10 catches last week, and I played him 10 for 81. Not stretching the ball, but he's their possession guy. But go back to a couple weeks ago, they played Oregon State. He had 5 for 123 and a score. He has 3 touchdowns on the season. One did not come last week, and he got 10 catches. He's due. So Coy Eakin at 4,800. Did you roster Coy?
I at this point I should be rostering Coy because to your point, he is due. I actually went out to a weirder game. I went out to Boston College Clemson, and Boston College has been dog shit, but it has to get better under Bill O'Brien at some point offensively, right? And so here I am as a crazy, whatever you want to call me, and I'm investing in the Boston College passing attack with Reed Harris. And
they're probably going to be trailing the majority of the game. So,
and they've been trailing a lot this season, and he hasn't been getting necessarily incredibly involved, but the target share is ramping up because I think they're looking for answers. And when you look at him play, he is the exciting athleticism potential answer at wide receiver. And I think Bill O'Brien, the way that he has always been, give the ball to your best player. Eventually, I think Reed is going to be kind of that one guy that ends up getting the bulk share of the targets there.
I like it. Yeah, my final wideout, and I'll just give away 2 here. But I like that one because the game script.
Yes.
This is one I'm going back to that BYU Arizona game. I guess I should have mentioned these when we were rattling off all our players in this game, but I did make a change just a second ago to add LJ Martin because of the rain. I think that at 7,100, I had that money. I was going cheaper before, but now I just think if it's going to rain all day, give me the rushing attack for BYU. Then I also went with Chase Roberts, man. I think he is undervalued too at 5,300. He is coming off of a 4-catch, 161-yard game. But that's not just what against all of his Power 5 schools, he's been, take the ECU game, which they should be a Power 5 because they're the greatest team ever. He had 5 for 97 in that game. Go to the Stanford game, 5 for 84. Go to the Colorado game, 5 catches, 49 yards, 2 touchdowns in that game. So Chase Roberts, who I feel like has been at BYU for a decade, and that's my roster essentially, because I'm all over those 2 games, specifically the Kansas, Texas Tech, the BYU Arizona games. Shit, that's like my entire team. Who else you got left?
Yep. So one last player from me. Going to Iowa. Iowa, Wisconsin, a game with the lowest over under
in the half.
Yeah, it's dropping. Mark Gronowski will not play this game. And when you are looking at Hank Brown, the quarterback for Iowa, presumably, unless you go with Hecklinski or Stratton, it's going to be a very running back focused approach. And what we know about Tim Lester at Iowa is he gets the running backs involved in the passing attack. Kamari Moulton at $6,000 as his price tag on DraftKings. I think he's going to potentially get 25 touches in this game. And Wisconsin defensively, this is not old school Wisconsin. This is a lifeless corpse of Wisconsin, and they will get gashed for 8 yards per carry if Iowa decides that's what they want to do. So yeah, I think
going to play, by the way.
No. It's classic gamesmanship from Kirk Ferentz, just saying like, oh, we don't know if he's going to play, but he hasn't been practicing, and he's also not going through walkthroughs, and he could probably be out like 2 to 3 games, not just this one.
Yeah, that's a bummer. I have a future on them to get to the Big Ten championship, but they can do this. They can win this still. Of course, he couldn't go. He couldn't go without rostering one Hawkeye. All right.
Yeah. Nope.
Folks, that's our show. Make sure you give Rob Donaldson a follow on Twitter at RobDFB. If you're in College Station, hit him up, buy the guy a beer, something like that, and check out all of his work. He's on VSiN, he's on Sports Grid. Check out his YouTube channel, Rob's Best Bets Show. It's fantastic. I'm on Twitter at DColbyD. The College Football Experience is on Twitter at TCE on SGPN. And check out. We'll be back late night tonight with our FCS show for a great weekend of FCS action upon us. Go ECU. Fuck you, Rob, for taking Tulane. And I appreciate you, everyone in the chat tuning in. Shout out to everyone. Really appreciate everyone, checking us out, and tell a friend if you can. YouTube.com/The College Experience. Please hit that like and subscribe button as well. Till next time, this is the College Football Experience. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.